Hello and welcome to this GSA Snapshot webinar on the global status of LTE and 5G fixed wireless access. We will share a recording of the session with you immediately following the event, and you can also download the presentation at any point by moving your mouse over the slides and clicking the download icon. We will have lots of time for Q&A following the presentation, which will last about 15 minutes. So please do submit any questions you have as we go along. Use the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll answer as many of them as we can. The report behind the data we're sharing today is live and published on GSA website. We will share a download link with you immediately following the event. And the full data set of the data is available to GSA associates and members via the GSA website. But with that, I'll first hand over to Joe Barrett, President of GSA, to kick things off and introduce things. Joe.
Thank you, Richard. So thank you everybody for joining. I've got lots of information to share with you, but let's just start off by a quick recap of who GSA is. Over 25 years now supporting the the global mobile ecosystem with data intelligence through our Gambod databases. The Fixed Wireless Access Forum is now in its fourth year, has been very successful. So lots of information there. And we have spectrum and standards and a new RedCap group that is now kicking off with all the major industry suppliers on our board and associates who can get access to all our database and data on an ongoing basis. So it's everything from the devices all into satellites and 5G and satellites, operators, auctions and spectrum chipsets, and all the different networks. And obviously now starting to look into and consider what's happening around 6G, which we'll see from around 2030. So with that, I'll pass you on to Jordan and Vaishali, who are going to give you all the latest information on fixed wireless access.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Joe. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jordan Cox from the research team here at the Global Mobile Suppliers Association, and I coordinate the research schedule here at the GSA and help maintain our online database, Gambod. Today, my colleague Vaishali and I will be sharing key findings from the GSA's latest fixed wireless access report based on data collected up to the end of May 2025. We'll begin with a global overview of LTE and 5G fixed wireless access, looking at network deployments, tariff strategies, and how operators are approaching speed and data volume in their offerings. And we'll then take a closer look at the device ecosystem, covering trends in indoor and outdoor CPEs and the vendors shaping this space. And finally, we'll touch on 5G RedCap or 5G reduced capability, examining its current global status and how this emerging technology could influence the future growth and scalability of fixed wireless access. And so over the next 15 to 20 minutes, we hope to give you a clear snapshot of where the market stands today, where it's heading, and how new developments are shaping the next phase of fixed wireless access evolution. So before that, it's important to ask the question, what exactly is fixed wireless access? And so at its core, fixed wireless access delivers broadband using existing 4G and 5G networks, rather than through traditional wired infrastructure. It's an increasingly important solution, especially in areas where deploying fibre isn't practical or cost-effective. Secondly, it's a cost-effective alternative to fibre, and operators can reuse mobile assets and avoid the expense and disruption of digging up roads, for example, meaning faster rollout with lower capital investment. It also enables rapid deployment. Instead of waiting months or potentially even years for fixed line networks to expand, fixed wireless access can connect homes and businesses in a fraction of the time, sometimes in just days. And a key benefit is that it helps bridge the digital divide. Fixed wireless access extends connectivity to underserved rural and suburban areas, bringing fast, reliable internet to communities that have historically been left behind. And finally, fixed wireless access supports next-gen services. It's capable of delivering the bandwidth and latency needed for things like immersive entertainment, smart home applications, and eventually more advanced enterprise use cases, especially as we move toward 5G Advanced and 6G. And so in summary, fixed wireless access is not just a temporary fix, it's a strategically important technology with long-term potential. And so with that, let's take a moment to review the key benefits that fixed wireless access brings to the connectivity landscape. First, 5G fixed wireless access offers high-speed connectivity that rivals traditional fibre broadband. And this means users can enjoy fast and reliable internet without the need for physical fibre optic cables, which can be costly and time-consuming to install. Second, because 5G fixed wireless access uses wireless technology, it enables rapid deployment of broadband services. And this is especially valuable in areas where laying cables is difficult or impractical, such as rural or geographically challenging locations. Thirdly, 5G fixed wireless access can deliver significant cost efficiencies by reducing the dependence on fibre infrastructure. Operators and end users benefit from lower capital and operational expenditures, making broadband more affordable and accessible. Fourth, it extends enhanced coverage into underserved or hard-to-reach regions, and this means more people in rural and suburban areas can gain access to high-quality broadband, helping to bridge the digital divide. And finally, 5G fixed wireless access is highly scalable and flexible. It supports a wide variety of devices and applications, allowing networks to adapt smoothly as demand grows or user needs evolve over time. And so together, these benefits make 5G fixed wireless access a compelling solution for expanding broadband connectivity globally, driving both economic and social progress. And so now diving into our first figures, we'll take a look at the current global snapshot for fixed wireless access. And fixed wireless access utilizing LTE and 5G technologies has achieved significant global proliferation. And according to data from the Global Mobile Suppliers Association, 567 operators across 188 countries have publicly announced fixed wireless access service offerings. And of these, 495 operators in 176 countries have progressed beyond announcement to active commercial deployment of LTE or 5G fixed wireless access services. And this widespread adoption underscores fixed wireless access's critical role in expanding broadband connectivity, particularly in regions where traditional wired infrastructure may be limited or cost prohibitive. And so the global footprint of these deployments illustrates fixed wireless access's maturity as a viable and scalable broadband solution. And now taking a deeper dive into the regional breakdown. And in particular, two regions are seeing significant activity. Firstly, Europe currently leads global fixed wireless access investment with 147 LTE and 112 5G fixed wireless access networks deployed across the continent. And within this region, the EU 27 countries show particularly strong engagement, collectively supporting 82 active networks. And following closely to Europe are the Middle East and Africa, which have deployed 150 LTE and 54 5G fixed wireless access networks. And this demonstrates substantial investment in regions with diverse connectivity challenges, leveraging fixed wireless access to bridge infrastructure gaps, especially in rural communities that we see across those regions. And meanwhile, Asia Pacific, North America, and Latin America have comparatively fewer fixed wireless access networks. However, these markets continue to experience significant and accelerating growth, reflecting the expanding adoption of LTE and 5G fixed wireless access solutions worldwide. So now looking at the level of competition between operators for fixed wireless access services per country, it's clear that this is really heating up. The Global Mobile Suppliers Association has tracked a rising number of operators per country actively investing in LTE fixed wireless access services. And this trend highlights the increasing importance of fixed wireless access as a competitive broadband delivery method worldwide. And at present, the United States leads this metric with 42 operators deploying LTE or 5G fixed wireless access networks, the highest concentration globally. This reflects the country's diverse geography and competitive broadband market, where fixed wireless access offers a flexible solution to expand coverage, particularly in underserved or rural areas. And following the United States, countries such as Slovakia and Nigeria also demonstrate significant operator activity, signaling the geographic breadth of LTE fixed wireless access adoption from developed to emerging markets, with other markets such as Brazil, South Africa, and Australia seeing a large number of operators investing in fixed wireless access. And regionally, North America and Europe exhibit the highest levels of market competition among operators offering fixed wireless access services. This competition is driving innovation, network improvements, and competitive pricing models. And in Asia and the broader Asia-Pacific region, we are observing a notable increase in competitive intensity. As more operators invest in fixed wireless access, the market dynamics are shifting, fostering rapid growth and adoption. And this trend underscores the potential for fixed wireless access to play a critical role in broadband expansion across densely populated and geographically diverse markets. So now I'll hand over to Vaishali to run through fixed wireless access tariff structures and speeds. So over to you, Vaishali.
Thanks, Jordan, for highlighting the global snapshot. Let's take a closer look at the breakdown of 5G and LTE fixed wireless packages. So if we look closer at the tariff structure offered with these packages, we can see that data volume has emerged as a predominant differentiator, particularly within LTE fixed wireless services. Over 45% of these tariffs are volume-based, meaning pricing is primarily determined by the amount of data a subscriber consumes. This model provides clear predictability for operators managing network capacity and also aligns with usage-based billing trends. In contrast, just over 21% of LTE fixed wireless tariffs are speed-based. This is where pricing is linked directly to the maximum achievable connection speed. A further 12% of tariffs incorporate both volume and speed parameters, offering a hybrid approach to meet diverse customer needs. When we examine 5G fixed wireless tariffs, the distinction between volume and speed-based pricing is much less pronounced. Approximately 26% of 5G fixed wireless offerings are volume-based, while around 21% are speed-based. Tariffs that combine both factors constitute close to 11%. These figures illustrate the evolving pricing strategies within the fixed wireless market. As 5G networks mature and customer expectations evolve, operators are experimenting with mixed tariff models to balance performance guarantees and data consumption, aiming to optimize revenue while delivering enhanced user experience. Operators frequently present maximum speed figures for their fixed wireless packages. However, these figures are often somewhat opaque and can vary significantly in practice. This irregularity arises because actual network performance depends on multiple factors, including spectrum availability, network congestion, device capabilities, and environmental conditions, such as terrain and building density. Currently, the marketed maximum download speeds for LTE services range widely, from as low as 1 megabit per second to as high as 2.5 gigabits per second. This reflects the diverse deployment scenarios and technology configurations across different operators and regions. The average LTE download speed measured standards at approximately 150.8 megabits per second. This is a slight decline from 157.2 megabits per second reported in November last year. This small decrease could be attributed to increased network load or broader sampling of deployments. Such data underscores the importance of considering real-world performance metrics alongside marketed speeds when evaluating fixed wireless services and the quality. If we look now to the marketed speeds of 5G fixed wireless services, we can see that the availability of speeds continues to expand rapidly. As of June this year, the number of operators quoting 5G fixed wireless maximum speeds has increased from 116 to 171, reflecting accelerated deployment and commercialization. Reported maximum speeds for 5G fixed wireless services vary considerably, ranging from as low as 20 megabits per second up to an impressive 5.4 gigabits per second. This wide range reflects differing network architectures, spectrum holdings, and deployment strategies across operators. Notably, over 60% of these operators report maximum speeds within the 200 megabits per second to 2.7 gigabits per second band, indicating a strong cluster of mid to high tier performance offerings in the market. The average peak download speed for 5G services stands at approximately 768.6 megabits per second, showing a slight decrease from 790.7 megabits per second recorded last year. This minor drop may reflect factors such as network expansion into more varied environments or increased user density impacting peak performance. The GSA's Gambod database currently tracks over 904 distinct LTE indoor and outdoor consumer premises equipment, or CPE devices globally. This reflects a highly fragmented ecosystem characterized by significant vendor diversity, with over 110 manufacturers offering LTE CPE solutions. Such fragmentation indicates a vibrant competitive market, driving innovation, but it also implies variance in device capabilities, performance, and compatibility. Importantly, no single vendor commands a dominant market share. The largest provider accounts for just 5.2% of the total devices tracked. This distribution suggests a broad competitive vendor landscape where multiple suppliers contribute to the growing LTE infrastructure. The GSA has observed continued growth in the number of 5G fixed wireless devices throughout 2024 and into the first quarter of 2025. To date, there are 338 indoor and outdoor 5G CPE devices that have been tracked globally, representing an increase of 19 devices since November 2024. While this growth demonstrates ongoing market expansion, it is relatively modest, amounting to just 6.9% year-on-year growth through the first quarter. Nonetheless, the steadily increasing device variety underpins the broader deployment of 5G fixed wireless services worldwide. Similar to the LTE fixed wireless access market, the supply ecosystem for 5G fixed wireless devices is served by a broad array of industry players. The GSA has identified over 85 vendors who have either produced or announced plans to produce 5G fixed wireless devices. Despite this diversity, only 2 vendors currently hold market shares exceeding 5%, indicating a highly competitive and fragmented market landscape. This distribution underscores the strength and vibrancy of the 5G fixed wireless ecosystem, with multiple vendors actively positioning themselves to capture opportunities in this expanding segment. As 5G adoption accelerates, vendor competition and innovation will continue to be key drivers in device availability, performance improvements, and market growth. Now onto the final slide, which looks more closely at 5G RedCap itself. As of the end of April this year, the GSA had identified 17 operators in 13 countries that are currently investing in RedCap technology, indicating that RedCap is still very much in its nascent stage. And while we look even closer at the status of these investments, it further underscores the early stage that 5G RedCap finds itself in. According to the GSA data, only 6 operators so far have launched RedCap. These operators are STC in Kuwait, T-Mobile in the US, Ditto in the Philippines, and the three major Chinese operators, China Unicom, China Mobile, and China Telecom. Currently, the majority of investments are in the evaluating and testing stage, with 10 operators in as many countries testing RedCap technology. These include Telstra in Australia, STC in Bahrain, and Telefonica in Germany. Other countries such as Singapore, the UAE, the UK, Saudi Arabia, and Thailand are also seeing trials. 5G RedCap is attractive for fixed wireless access because it offers a comparable device cost to 4G, but enables operators to put data traffic on new, lightly loaded 5G-only spectrum bands, which takes a load off existing 5G networks. That brings us to the end. Next is the Q&A, so please could you submit any questions via the question box.
Great, perfect. Thank you very much, Vaishali. As Vaishali's been speaking there and myself, there's been a lot of questions coming in. So a large variation of questions, actually. So quite a lot are based on the frequency ranges being utilised for fixed wireless access, and in particular, the dominant frequency ranges. So firstly, I would say this can very much vary by region, and this is largely based on spectrum availability and even regulatory decisions, which of course vary by region. So just sort of a breakdown across North America, for example, operators are commonly using mid-band spectrum like CBRS or 3.5 gigahertz and the C-band spectrum for both LTE and 5G fixed wireless access. And then some rural providers within North America, and particularly the US, also leverage low-band spectrum, so 600 to 700 megahertz for broader coverage. In Europe, the picture is pretty much the same. The 3.4 to 3.8 gigahertz range is widely deployed for 5G fixed wireless access, but LTE fixed wireless access deployments tend to be in the 800 megahertz range. And in Asia Pacific, again, the 3.5 gigahertz range, Middle East, 2.6 and 3.5 gigahertz, and Latin America, again, 2.5 and 3.5. So the overall most dominant frequency range tends to be the 3.5 gigahertz range globally. That's definitely the one that we've seen become the most dominant over the last couple of years. So we've got a lot of other questions as well, very interesting questions actually. So maybe for you, Vaishali, on RedCap, obviously you've just mentioned RedCap there at the end of that presentation, and there's a question around the uptake of RedCap. So why has the uptake of RedCap been potentially a little bit slower than expected over the last year or so? Is there any reasons for that?
Of course. So you still need to remember that RedCap is still a relatively new technology. It was only really introduced in 2022. And so there are only a number of RedCap compatible chipsets and modules. Additionally, 5G RedCap requires 5G standalone network, which is still, being implemented on a global scale. We believe that, as more networks transition to 5G standalone and start, to implement these networks more, the adoption of 5G RedCap will follow this, creating, a broader market for more compliant devices. So, the key takeaways is that it's very much growing, but we expect it to skyrocket once 5G standalone networks are implemented.
Great, thank you very much for that. There's another question here, I'll take this one, around how 5G Advanced may affect the performance or reliability of fixed wireless access services in the future. And we have actually recently published a report on 5G Advanced, so you may find that very interesting as well. And we do cover some of the benefits and impact of 5G Advanced and its global status. But in terms of fixed wireless access, 5G Advanced brings enhancements in uplink and downlink performance, network slicing, latency reduction, as well as a number of other benefits. And all of those do benefit fixed wireless access itself, particularly for business grade services or latency sensitive use cases like cloud gaming and real-time video, as well as potentially medical use cases as an example. And it also introduces better power efficiency and spectral efficiency. So that really helps to improve the network economics for operators and really gives them that sort of initiative and to invest. So we're getting in these quick and fast at the moment. A lot of questions coming through. We may not be able to get to all of them, but we'll get as many as we can. So another question for you, Vaishali, on the drivers. So what are the main factors driving operator investment in LTE and 5G fixed wireless access right now? What's that looking like?
Well, ultimately, operators are turning to fixed wireless because it offers a faster and often more cost-effective way to deliver broadband. This is especially true in areas where fibre deployment is impractical. There's also been a growing demand for high-speed internet access at home, especially post-pandemic, with lots of people working from home, studying from home, and fixed wireless allows operators to capitalize on existing mobile network infrastructures with minimal additional investment.
Great, thank you very much. And there's a few more frequency questions coming in. There's an interesting one here around millimeter wave, and in particular, is millimeter wave spectrum being used for 5G fixed wireless access? Yes, but its adoption is still very much limited and is highly regional. So we're not seeing that standardization globally, particularly as we've seen with the 3.5 gigahertz band. But where it is being used currently, for example, is the United States, which is a leading market for this. Operators like Verizon and US Cellular in particular have deployed millimeter wave based fixed wireless access services, but in very select urban areas. And then in Asia, so particularly Japan and South Korea, they have also have operators that are beginning to use millimeter wave for fixed wireless access, especially for high capacity use cases. And then also in Europe and the Middle East, some countries are currently conducting trials of millimeter wave, but large scale commercial deployment, it's not there at the moment, and it's still very much limited. So that's going to be a bit further down the line over the next, the coming years. But millimeter wave is being used for sure. Okay, so we've got probably a bit of time for a few more questions, 2 or 3 more questions. Let's have a look. Okay, so there's questions on the technical. Okay, so this one may be for you, Vaishali, if that's okay. So what are the biggest technical challenges that operators are facing when particularly scaling fixed wireless access services?
Okay, so there are a number of challenges, but one that comes to mind is managing capacity. So operators have to manage capacity, especially in dense urban areas where there are multiple users and they're competing for limited radio resources. Another issue that comes to mind is one of signal propagation and indoor penetration, especially at the higher frequencies. So this requires strategic placement of outdoor CPEs and possibly network densification to maintain quality of service. I think also operators need to help consumers when it comes to placing outdoor CPEs, because the consumer might not know where the best place is to provide, a good quality of service. So I think when it comes to particularly outdoor CPEs, the operators will have to be a little bit more hands-on, just in the setup. But those are a few challenges that come to mind.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we're at 3:30 now. We've probably got time for one more question, but we will answer these offline as well. So thank you for your questions. Keep them coming in. So the last question I can get to is, are there signs that fixed wireless access is becoming a permanent replacement for traditional fixed broadband in some markets? The short answer is yes, but only in some markets, as the question mentions. So fixed wireless access is not just a temporary stopgap, as we've mentioned in the presentation, but it can also be a long-term alternative, especially where fibre rollout is too costly or slow, which particularly in rural areas, potentially across areas such as Africa, Asia, Latin America in particular, and in the US as well, but also in Europe. So countries like Finland, very rural, very large as well. Operators within those areas are positioning 5G fixed wireless access as a primary home internet solution, supported by improving performance and more sophisticated tariff models. So operators are already positioning fixed wireless access as the long-term solution for their customers. But again, it's only in select markets. That's not a global standard. That's not what we're seeing globally at the moment. So I think that's all we have time for in terms of questions. But as mentioned, we will answer these offline. So if you have ask a question, we will get to you. But I'll hand back to Richard now to close out today's session.
Great, thank you very much. I'll close out today by once again just thanking you all for attending, and to our research team for sharing the data with us today. As we flagged up front, we will share a link to the webinar recording and the report with you immediately following this event. So look out for an email from us on that. And you'll find a wealth of information on all things fixed wireless access on the GSA website, in particular on the landing page of the Fixed Wireless Access Forum, which you can see on the screen ahead of you there. We've got some links to things like the Fixed Wireless Access CPEs survey, which was published in August last year. The current survey is in the field at the moment. And having chatted with Vaishali before the call, I think we're still on track, hopefully, to get that out for September. I'll put her on the spot and commit her to that. So that's look out for that research. Again, it's a great, unique survey in terms of what the real status is amongst the fixed wireless access CPE vendors. Network X in October, in terms of upcoming events. In previous years, the forums had a dedicated block of sessions. Well, this time we're actually going to be front and center stage, really embedded in the conference agenda, and our chair and vice chair will be moderating and leading the main stage fixed wireless access sessions. So if you're interested in getting involved in that event, fixed wireless access is going to be a very big theme at Network X, then please do get in contact with the Network X organizers directly via a link on your screen, and they'll be able to tell you more about how your organization can get involved in that. But finally, I'll just say on the GSA website, you'll find all the information with the reports and the data that we've shared. To follow us on social and on the email digests and the monthly newsletters, please do subscribe to those reports, and we can get the latest updates to you directly into your inbox. But finally, I'll just say on behalf of the GSA team, thank you again for joining us, and we hope to see you again at one of our events very soon. Many thanks.